Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Heartwood Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Thomas Rashard Easley, aka the Hip Hop Forester, but aka I am this individual's friend. Okay, that's the way I like to be known. Okay, the person that I'm about to talk to, we've been trying to get him on for 2 years, y'all. Okay, this is how heavy in demand that he is. Fortunately, I don't have my brothers and co-hosts, Billy DeLupo and Isaac Carew with me, but they're all doing some work across the country. But I am working today with Real Blessed Videography. So brother Trevor Jones is the brother behind the camera. And he's always making it fresh and making it cool. So just want to make sure that you all know that. Today, I have the fortune and the joy of talking to, I consider him a leader, a scholar, in some ways an activist, as well as an organizer. He has worked from the West Coast in California, in Oregon, all the way to Seattle, Washington, all the way to Washington, D.C. He's from Tennessee, but raised in D.C., comes from an amazing family. He's worked at every level of government, from city, state, to federal. He was an Obama appointee for the National Park Service, a deputy director working with the director, John Jarvis. But for me, he is a superstar in this space, whether you're talking parks and recreation, whether you're talking diversity, equity, and inclusion, human development, maturation. The list goes on and on. You see, I can talk about him all day. I haven't even said his name yet, okay? All right? Sitting to my left is none other but my friend and also mentor and brother and supporter, too. I want to say, because he supports the work that I do. This is none other than the rock star, Micky Fearn. What's going on, my friend?
Thanks, Thomas. That's very flattering.
Whenever I'm lying, stop me. And you say you didn't stop me.
Well, you know, I've just retired over almost 6 decades in public service. Mostly in parks, recreation, conservation, but also in the political side quite a bit. And so, so I'm out here now. And it's really interesting because all of the things I've done, for some reason, are coming together in my head right now.
Okay.
Even some days I think I'm thinking too much. And but what I realize is that all of this experience and all this information and all these struggles and all these successes I've had are trying to get out for me to share them with other people, so other people can at least learn from the experience. And I'm not one of those people who list off all the things I accomplished. I would much rather list off all the struggles I had and why, and that kind of thing. But yeah, so that's me.
Listen, y'all, every time I come and I talk to Micky, I learn, I grow, shift. So we already have a set of questions.
Yes.
But look, I want to watch. Just watch right now. Just watch what happens. So the conversation we were just having, before we get into the organized questions, you, as you just mentioned, conservation, parks and recreation, but to me, you really delve some in science, you delve some in nature, you delve some in spirituality, religion at times. We were just having a conversation, and you were talking about the few things that we as humans or organisms that we all do in nature. Would you mind just kind of just taking me back through that? Like, what are the things that we do had to do with like chaos and random and stuff, you know?
Yeah, well, one of the things I'm trying to figure out at this point is what is universal and what is random.
Okay.
Or what is universal and what is specific to particular ethnic groups or groups of people? Because I think sometimes people think of themselves as terminally unique. You know, I'm this way and nobody else is this way and nobody understands us. But there's some natural patterns. There's some natural patterns that exist in all of us.
Okay.
And not necessarily even talking about natural patterns. So I've been studying nature a lot, and I've been studying the healing aspects of nature, and I've been doing yoga and meditation. And so I'm on a kind of different level with it now. Mm-hmm. But looking at nature, and I started doing this in Big Basin State Park in 1980 is when I started doing this discovery about how we are nature and how we are not nature. But recently, a number of things. One is the video, The Biggest Little Farm.
Yes.
Right. So, it's one of those things that just came into my life. It just showed up and I watched it and I thought to myself, this is what they're doing is amazing.
Okay.
So what I extrapolated from it, they say some of this specifically, but there's some other things I extrapolated from it.
Okay.
This is nature.
Okay.
This is how nature works every day in everything that is living. All right?
Okay.
All right. Nature is about diversity.
Okay.
Just look.
Here we
I
are.
mean, I wake up and this yard looks the same way every day. It ain't never the same. It it changes every day. Things come in of it and out of it. I tell you, I got the bunny rabbits living under my house.
Yeah.
That's new.
That's no. Yeah, that's right.
All right. So,
Okay.
in nature, we have diversity.
Yes.
Then we have kinship. We can't do it without interacting with other people or other things. There is no way for us to survive unless we take care of other people or other things, whether we're talking about plants, agriculture, the things we use for shelter, whatever it is.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So we got kinship.
Kinship.
All right.
Okay.
Then we have order. It has to make some sense. I mean, if nature didn't make any sense, we'd be terrified. Fear is probably the largest, takes more of our brain than any other thing, right? So if nature was consistently changing and in and out and up and down, people would be afraid. So there is order. And so because there is order, then we as humans get to plan.
Okay.
Because spring is coming, and because this is coming, and because that is coming, and the animals get to do what they do. All right. Right.
Okay.
All right. So diversity, kinship, order,
Okay.
randomness. Stuff just happens. Good and bad. Stuff just happens, man. And it happens every day. Right. So I can talk about big stuff like what's going on with relationships and that kind of stuff. Or I can say that Q, my dog over there, stays at my feet all the time.
Yeah.
He stays beside me all the time. But then every now and then we'll walk out the door and he'll just run down the street. That's randomness, man. And when you consider how we get around in America and the diversity in American society, there's a lot of opportunity for randomness.
That's true.
Things just happen, and good things happen, bad things happen to good people, and but I don't want to look at the randomness as just negative, because there's some random stuff that happens to me that's just really, really positive when I'm somewhere and I serendipitously run into somebody who's got the same interest that I have. So all right. So we got randomness.
Okay.
Randomness creates chaos because you ain't never done this before. Because the randomness comes, and you haven't done this before.
Yeah.
So the randomness creates chaos.
Whoa. Okay.
That means you've got to make some judgments. You're in uncertainty. You're not in control. You don't have everything figured out. But this chaos has come up, and now we have two choices.
Okay.
We can respond, or we can react. All right.
Okay. What's the difference?
All right. So there's a police shooting. And this has been going on since I went to Los Angeles in 1965. I don't know why people can't figure out. It's the same thing every time.
Okay.
There's a police shooting.
Yes.
First night, a whole bunch of people come down because they're angry and they're upset, and they've got to make some kind of cathartic expression.
Yeah.
Other people come down who are just taking advantage of the situation, want to steal some TVs and stuff.
Doing that, yes.
So we know that what's going to happen is the first time people are going to show up because they have to make a cathartic expression of the feeling they're in. But the cathartic expression doesn't go anywhere in terms of solving their problem. It's just a physical release of the energy that's been built up by the event or the long-term injustices.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Right.
But that stuff is accretive.
Okay.
All right. So then we can talk about the difference between reaction and response.
Okay.
Reaction is immediate. It's to solve the problem that's in front of us. So in the biggest little farm, they had these unbelievable chickens, and these chickens were laying eggs and was making them thousands of dollars a year. And all of a sudden, coyotes came out of nowhere and started eating killing the chickens.
Yeah.
Not even eating the chickens,
Killing.
just killing the chickens. And I think one time they killed like 100 chickens. So these people are saying, we got a problem. We need these chickens. And you need these eggs. We don't need the coyote, right?
Right.
So what are we going to do about the coyote? Now, these are people who had promised not to use herbicide, pesticide, or any unusual human intervention to solve a problem. They had said that is our defining value.
Yep.
All right. But it just keeps happening, and they go, we got to kill the coyote. Right. So they kill the coyote, and then they go to the orchard, and they realize when they're in the orchard, because there are a lot of moles or yeah. All right. So if we kill all the coyotes, who's going to kill the gophers? Because this stuff is all balanced, man. This stuff is all balanced. So the response is to let it evolve, but to have the skills and recognize signals about when you need to adapt. Nicholas is doing something, and he asked me last night to send him 3 questions that little Micky could ask Big Micky.
Okay.
In other words, if I was little Micky could ask Big Micky, and I said, how do you adapt to the randomness and the chaos and the challenges and relationships? How do you get the skills to be able to know what kind of emotion to assign to it? I mean, if I could offer anything, is I spent a lot of time emotionally frustrated for a whole lot of reasons. One, I was 1.5 years younger than everybody in my class, so I couldn't play sports, and girls thought I was like their little brother and all that kind of stuff, right? And I was carrying a lot around. But then I realized I'm not going to carry this around me. I'm not going to be angry,
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So, all right.
But you made the choice.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
All right. So, here in Raleigh, we had a shooting. 2 people in the house, 3 people on the trail, or vice versa. And I just happened to be in presence of some city officials, and we were talking about how to solve the problem. There's a tendency in American society to create a solution to the problem, and when the solution doesn't work, to decide the reason the solution didn't work is because we didn't do enough of it. And therefore, we begin to add more of what didn't work to try to solve the problem.
I've seen it.
Adding police is not going to solve the violence problem.
No.
I don't care how many. I was in the Soviet Union in 1974, and I was down near Red Square, and there was a guard in the middle and on every block. Did I feel safe?
Yeah, don't you feel
when you got to have a guard with machine guns and all that stuff?
Yeah.
All right. The bottom line is, so, I'm a Parks and Recreation person, right?
Yeah.
And I try to get in the conversation, and I say, one of the things we need to realize is that self-actualized kids don't go around hurting themselves or each other. Kids who are self-actualized. In days when I had great days, I was pretty good academic for a while. There was some sports I could play, right? And on days when I had that kind of experience, I didn't ever think about hurting nobody. But I had the options to have those experiences.
Okay.
I had the options to have those experiences.
Okay.
All right. So we have diversity, and you see that in the world, right? People keep trying to deny it.
Yes.
Especially as it relates to the importance of diversity in human being.
Right.
We got diversity, we got kinship, we got order, randomness, chaos, and adaptability. Okay. But then, so that's how nature is.
Yes.
Right. That's how nature. That's what happens the rest of the day is going to be all those things.
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay.
You're going home and the road is blocked off, and you got to make a little bit pissed off. You got to make a decision, right?
Right.
But we're always confronted with that. And that's what makes Earth perfect, is that it keeps changing and it's imperfect like that. And hopefully we keep making adaptations, but not to make it better, but not to make it worse, to make it better. All right. But then, and this is part of the conversation I had with the redwood tree, and I'm trying to get this one out, is that when I worked in Big Basin State Park, and I sat by the redwood tree every day, and I interviewed the redwood tree. Mm-hmm. And I said, so what is nature? What is human nature? And that's where I start getting all this stuff, right? Right. But now, see, here's something all of us in nature share. I'm not sure that that plants do, but everything else in nature, if threatened, becomes selfish, defensive, territorial, uses a habit to solve the problem.
Uses a habit, okay.
And takes the path of least resistance. That's true of,
do that too.
Of animal, everybody in every culture, depending on what the situations are. In situations where there's not much need or there's not much fear, you don't have it, but still, anytime anything is threatened,
yes,
their first reaction is a survival reaction. It's called survival gene. They get selfish. I need mine.
Selfish.
I'm going to work.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of here. Territorial. I must possess the resources I perceive to be required for my survival.
Okay.
And anybody in the way, all right?
You're out the way.
Defensive. Fight. Flight. Paralysis. Right?
Yeah.
And Americans defend themselves against criticism as much as we would defend ourselves against some kind of physical threat.
Ooh.
Most of our fear is about things that we make up and things that can't really hurt us. But so anyhow, we have selfish, territorial, defensive, prisoner routine.
Okay, so they use the habit.
80% of my life is habit.
80%.
Well, that's what it says in some books. It says somewhere between 60 and 80% of what you do every day is habit. You do it without thinking about it.
Autopilot.
Can racism, biophobia, can patriarchy, can that stuff be habit? Can that be habit? Can that become habit?
Yeah.
Or going back to the kids, if we have a problem, what we want to do is to act habitually because we don't have time to think about how to really solve the problem. Or let's say you're a center fielder, right? And the guy hits the ball. You can't stand there and go, well, there's the ball. It's coming here, so I guess I better run. And then I guess I better put my no. You see those plays on television with them football players? That stuff is habitual, man.
Yeah,
it's absolutely habitual. And things need to be habitual because if they weren't habitual, then we would be using up energy that we needed to use when things are a problem.
When they get chaotic, as you mentioned,
and that could happen physically or emotionally. There are enough things that drain me emotionally in life that I can't deal with the thing that I really need to deal with. There's so many things, so many disappointments, just a whole bunch of stuff. And it's that reduced my emotional reserve to the degree that now I don't have it when something really comes up that I need to work with. And then, the last one is path of least resistance. See this all the time out in front of our hall. What was our building?
Biltmore Hall.
Biltmore Hall.
Yes, sir.
This is unbelievable. Maybe one of the busiest streets in Raleigh. Busiest streets in Raleigh, right?
Yes.
Somebody standing somewhere, and they see their bus.
Oh boy!
And their bus is coming, right?
Yeah.
And they run across Western Avenue.
Oh my goodness, that is the busiest.
But I got to get this bus, and if I don't get this bus, they have calculated somehow that it's okay for them to put their lives at risk.
Yeah.
Even though there will be another bus.
Right.
But that don't matter. All right. So now let's go back to what nature is.
Okay.
And now let's look at selfish and territorial and defensive and see how that works with all of that stuff that happens in nature. So what happens when the randomness comes and the path of least resistance, people say, you got to go back and do it the way we did before.
That's just a repeat of what you said.
Because people go back to find things and just decide that there were either small parts of them or that they didn't do enough of what didn't work.
Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? I told you, okay? He has broken down nature and did it in such a way that is memorable, from mentioning diversity, chaos, randomness, order, and how we are adaptability, and then looking at what we do, when something happens, how we get defensive, how we get on the survival, how we turn territorial. You see, now, we're going to get to this. When we talk together, this is the kind of stuff that would just happen normally. He would just talk and just brilliance would come out. So now you see what I mean, all right? So thank you for answering the question that we were talking about earlier and doing it eloquently as you always do.